Imagine waking up to find that the unhackable digital gold in your wallet is about to become as common as sand at the beach. In a single heartbeat, the one thing that gives Bitcoin its entire value was at risk of being deleted forever. I'm talking about its scarcity. A hacker found a loophole in the code, hit a few keys, and created 184 billion Bitcoins out of thin air. If the world had found out before the fix went live, the price would have crashed to zero instantly. The entire global experiment was effectively on fire, and almost nobody knew it yet. It sounds like a bad Hollywood plot, but this actually happened. It wasn't a dream, and it wasn't a drill. Most people today see Bitcoin as an invincible fortress, but in its early years, it was more like a clumsy toddler learning to walk on a floor covered in banana peels. So today, we're looking at the moments the code actually broke, and the secret rescues that saved the entire crypto world from becoming worthless digital dust. To understand how close we came to total disaster, we have to go back to the legend of crypto nightmares, the value overflow incident of 2010. Picture Bitcoin when it was just a tiny project used by a few dozen nerds. Back then, one Bitcoin was worth less than a cent. You could probably buy 1,000 Bitcoins for the price of a cheap cheeseburger. On August 15, 2010, an unknown person sent a transaction that contained a little mathematical trick called an integer overflow. Think of it like those classic arcade games like Pac-Man. If you reached a score that was higher than what the game's memory could handle, the screen would just glitch out or reset because it ran out of digits. In Bitcoin's early code, a similar thing happened. The hacker sent a transaction using a negative number, which tricked the system's math. Because the code wasn't prepared for this, the calculation basically flipped inside out. Instead of subtracting the amount, the computer got confused and interpreted it as a massive positive number. It's basically what happens when you try to pour a gallon of water into a tiny espresso cup. The cup overflows, and the computer loses its mind. Instead of realizing the transaction was impossible, the system accepted it and spat out two rewards of over 92 billion Bitcoins each. To put that in perspective, that is about 8,000 times the total supply that is ever supposed to exist. If this hadn't been caught, the experiment would have ended right there. Bitcoin would have become more worthless than monopoly money in 5 minutes because inflation wouldn't just have been high, it would have been infinite. Luckily, Satoshi Nakamoto was still active back then. Imagine being the creator of a new world currency and seeing a random guy print more money than the entire US government from his mother's basement. Satoshi had to act fast, so he effectively hit the undo button. He didn't just delete the coins with a click. He quickly released a new version of the code that told every computer on the network to ignore the corrupted history. This forced the network to move to a clean version of the blockchain, wiping the fake coins out of existence and saving the project from a total meltdown. It was a heart-stopping moment that showed us that while Bitcoin is built on math, it still relies on a community of humans to keep the lights on. By the way, if you're enjoying this dive into Bitcoin's dark side, hit that like button. It's faster than a Bitcoin transaction and helps me out more than you know. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button too so you don't miss the next mystery. So as Bitcoin grew up, the stakes got much higher. Fast forward to 2018. By this time, Bitcoin was a household name, and your grandma was probably asking you how to buy it over Sunday dinner. Professional investors were pouring in billions, and Bitcoin's unhackable reputation was its biggest selling point. But behind the scenes, a developer for a rival project called Bitcoin Cash was poking around the Bitcoin source code. He wasn't looking for trouble, but he stumbled upon a vulnerability that made his blood run cold. This was the 2018 inflation bug, a silent killer that could have ended it all while the world was looking the other way. The terrifying part was that this wasn't an old mistake from the early days. It was a brand new mistake introduced by an update meant to make the network faster. It's like trying to upgrade your car's engine, but accidentally making it so the steering wheel falls off if you turn left. This bug would have allowed a miner to do the one thing that is forbidden: double spending. If I can send you 1 Bitcoin and then use that same Bitcoin to buy a Tesla 5 minutes later, the whole system is a lie. The developers handled this discovery like James Bond in a hoodie. They didn't post about it on Twitter because that would have been like screaming the bank vault is open in a room full of thieves. Instead, they played it incredibly cool. They released an update and told the world it was just a tiny boring fix for a minor technical issue. They waited until most miners had updated their software before revealing the truth, that the bug could have crashed the entire market to zero. It was a masterclass in high-stakes secrecy. You might wonder why these bugs don't happen every week since the code is public. Well, that is actually the secret weapon. Because the code is open source, there are thousands of white hat hackers constantly poking at it. It's like having a bank vault where the blueprints are taped to the front door, and every locksmith in the world is invited to try and pick the lock for fun. Every time someone fails to break in, the vault becomes stronger. You could say Bitcoin has an immune system. Every time it survives a bug, it develops antibodies and becomes more hardened against future attacks. But even with all that protection, there are still some weird, almost supernatural glitches out there, like the time warp attack. This is a theoretical way for miners to trick the network into thinking time is moving slower than it is. Since Bitcoin adjusts its difficulty every 2 weeks based on time, miners could trick the network into making the math much easier. It's like a marathon runner moving the finish line closer every time the referee blinks his eyes. While it hasn't destroyed Bitcoin yet, it's a reminder that humans are very good at finding ways to cheat the system. At the end of the day, these scary stories are actually a reason to be optimistic. Each of these near-death experiences acted like a vaccine. Bitcoin survived the billion coin mistake and the secret inflation bugs because the community is obsessed with keeping it alive. Digital gold isn't just a static piece of code. It's more like a digital organism that learns from its wounds. Most financial systems are fragile. When a big bank makes a mistake, they hide it and ask for a bailout. With Bitcoin, the mistakes are fixed in the light of day for everyone to see. So, should you be terrified? Well, in the world of software, if a developer says their code is 100% perfect, they are lying. Everything has glitches. But Bitcoin has the biggest bounty in history. If you can break it, you could be the richest person on earth. The fact that nobody has successfully done that is the strongest evidence we have that the system works. It's not that it's impossible to break, it's just that it's incredibly hard, and the protectors are just as motivated as the attackers. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel, and it ensures I can keep making these explanations for you. It really is what keeps this channel going.